All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills,
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
and we are recapping the NFL Draft 2021. Did not disappoint this year. Lots of shocks. Some good, depending on what teams you're rooting for, especially the Bears. We'll get into that, though.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
worry. Lots of reasons to be excited for a lot of fan bases. Lots of reasons to be disappointed for some other fan bases. That's how it is every year with the draft. So the majority of our episode is going to be spent recapping that, sharing our thoughts and our opinions on everything. If we do have enough time to get into it, though, we have some stuff to talk about with the NBA and MLB. But as I said, that's barring the time here that it takes us to cover the draft, because a lot happened, a lot of opinions that we want to share with you, especially regarding our hometown Chicago Bears. Finally did something exciting, right?
Yep.
So why don't we'll just dive right in. Oh, and then yes, obviously Nick's question of the week happens every week.
Can't forget about that.
That goes without saying at this point, I like to think. But let's dive into it. The Chicago Bears made the splash that this fan base has been dying for since my lifetime, if I'm being honest. The last big move we saw like this, I'm not even going to count Trubisky. The Jay Cutler trade was the last time we saw the
last time
Bears
there was,
go
like,
after
some
like a
big
legit QB.
Hype. Yeah, quarterback hype is what I would describe it as. And I think NFL Network gave him an A+ for the draft.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say since I've been following sports drafts, it's got to be the first time I've got an A+.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
It's Pace just shocked me with this. He
Saved his job, in my opinion. Saved his job, even if they don't make the playoffs next year. He's fine. If they don't make the playoffs, I don't think Nagy's fine. But
Yeah,
I think
but Pace
after
is
this,
fine.
after this offseason so far, I think he saved his job for now.
Yeah, I mean, he redeemed himself for me.
Yeah.
Like I
That was going to be a
honestly-
question I was going to ask, but go ahead. Finish your
but
thoughts.
I
Sorry.
honestly think that he killed this draft. Like,
His first two picks alone killed this
yeah.
draft.
If he traded away the rest of the picks, those two picks alone were what we needed.
I think the biggest thing that I saw with the first two picks is it's what the fan base wanted.
Yeah,
Justin
it was the
Fields
right
can
decisions.
literally be the worst quarterback to come out of this draft. And who do they get for the offensive lineman?
Tevin Jenkins.
Tevin Jenkins. He could be, decent. Bears fans will not care because that's the two things that they wanted to see the Bears
Right.
take.
This is completely different from Trubisky, right? Trubisky was a reach.
Yeah.
Even if they took him and stayed put at 3 and took him, it was considered a reach. This is completely different. The way that the media, the way that the fan base, the way that everyone is covering this move for Justin Fields, it was the right move. Trubisky's decision, that trade was questionable. This was the right move. If it busts, it busts. God knows I'm praying that it doesn't bust.
I don't think so.
But right,
I feel like, but
I
even
like
if it
to.
does, there was talk of other teams. Like I heard Vikings.
Oh
and
yeah,
a
we
couple
jumped
other
the Vikings.
teams
Oh, they
were
jumped,
thinking
I'm
that
sorry.
if Justin Fields fell to them, they were going to take him.
Yeah.
And they were thinking about moving up before the Bears did that.
Yeah. So this is
I'm glad that no one was talking about moving up to get Trubisky when they took Trubisky.
right. That was a shock and
People
awe
were
out of
talking
nowhere.
about
This
how-
was
yeah.
was still a shock, but it wasn't like a what are they doing? This
Yeah.
was how did they pull this off?
That-
Like
dude,
it was viewed
yeah,
as such
it was-
an incredible move.
All these stars had to align.
Yeah.
For the Bears.
Their
to
betting
get this.
odds to get
Yeah.
him were plus 1,000.
Oh, I should have bet on it.
50
would-
bucks
I would
would have
like
won
to
you
thank-
50 grand.
The 49ers
Why
for
do it?
putting a lot of hype on Mac Jones and then also taking Trey Lance because
Yeah.
they honestly could have taken Justin Fields at 3 and just kind of ruined this dream world that we would have thought we would have been living in as Bears fans.
Yeah, because if we took Lance at 11, it would have been that Pace did another Trubisky move.
Yeah.
That's
it would
all
have
we
it would have been
hearing.
been
But I don't
another
think
one
the
of
Bears
those.
would have
He
moved up.
panicked and went and got a quarterback. This is completely different.
Lance
Tevin
and-
Jenkins completely different as
Oh,
well.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, dude, he's a monster.
He's got that crazy kind of calm in
Yeah.
him.
For me, it's just one of the things of as being a Bears fan of like realizing that we needed help at corner and offensive line, and we got Andy Dalton, who's going to be an improvement, I think, at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's like, okay, we didn't go get a cornerback and didn't really help the defense early in the draft, but it was a big enough plus to where it's like, okay, we didn't screw up this time.
You addressed your quarterback was in my opinion, it was their fourth biggest need. But because of how big of a move they made, and because it's Justin Fields that they got, it's okay for passing up on cornerback or defensive back help to get that quarterback.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
You went and got Tevin Jenkins, who a lot of people pegged to be the Bears pick at 20. And they got him in the second round. Had to trade up for him as well. But I'm all for being aggressive if you're going and getting your guys. Tevin Jenkins, first round prospect who fell to the second round, as did a lot of guys this year, especially on the O-line and defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
saw a lot of guys slip because there's just so much quarterback and wide receiver depth. We talked about it last week.
Yeah.
That was going to be a huge factor. Think the Raiders also reached on Leatherwood, so that helped Tevin Jenkins fall further back in the draft as well.
Yeah.
The fact, at the end of the day, the Bears picked 11th and they picked 39th, and they drafted two guys, one that was considered easily top 5 prospect in the draft.
Dude, he should have gone number 2.
He should have gone number 2.
Yeah,
He should have gone number 3. If not number 2, number 3. No excuse.
Yeah.
But whatever. He fell to 11. The Bears went and made their move. They jumped the Vikings, like Nick was saying. And then Tevin Jenkins falls to them. They trade up at 39 to get him in the second round. He should have been gone before the 30th pick of the draft.
I
So-
think, yes, for sure.
So you're happy with everything they gave up?
And this is a very big, very, very big draft. I'm very happy with it. Ryan Pace, rightfully so, has been criticized for his drafting in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
Now, we can all agree, whether we liked him prior to this or not, he was always good at finding depth in talent past like the 4th round and beyond.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is with that scouting team or his eye for talent specifically, but he finds it late in the draft. This was the first time where I can say confidently, outside of the Roquan pick, I almost said Pick Smith, Roquan Smith pick, that he made the right decision and he knocked it out of the park in the first 2 rounds. First round especially.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the whole draft, he killed it.
He killed it.
We got Daz Newsome in the 6th round.
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of him. We got Thomas Graham Jr. He opted out of 2020. I think that's why his draft stock fell. But
Right.
I did watch his highlights. Pretty good corner.
Yeah.
And then we got Tonga, D-line. Watch out for him.
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
So
I like the Bears picking guys D-line wise because it's like you don't expect anything. Like you got Mack and you got
Hicks still.
Hicks and you got other guys there who are like
Bilal Nichols.
we're not expecting you to play a heavy amount
your rotation,
of downs.
your depth.
But it's like when Khalil Mack's tired, we're going to put you out there, and you're going to learn from Khalil Mack and Akeem Hicks. And whether you have a good first year or not, you're going to be better off than some defensive linemen who are it's them.
The thing is, these guys have the benefit of being depth guys. They don't have to be immediate impact, and they're going to play on a line where other guys are going to get the attention, and that'll free them up. We see how every year there's a defensive tackle or a D lineman for the Bears that breaks out his first year with the team.
Yeah, you've never heard of him, and all of a sudden it's like, he's having
Nick
one of the better
Williams was a
names.
prime example 2 years ago. Bilal Nichols last year had a really great year.
Yeah, he did.
Not to mention Eddie Goldman's going to be coming back, at least supposedly. I'm pretty sure it's all but confirmed. But he'll be returning. So you have these young guys, these big physical specimens on the D line that Pace drafts every year late in the draft, and they get to sit and learn, and they get put in for a couple snaps here and there each game. But because of how many one-on-ones they get, it is like prime development opportunity for them.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the guy on the defensive line.
Yeah.
You can just be the guy who eats blocks, and that's fine. It makes you stronger doing that. All in all, Ryan Pace bought himself, in my opinion, 2 years at least with this draft.
Oh, yeah.
The eyes, I think, are on Nagy more specifically
I feel like
because
Nagy's in a position now where he
has to succeed.
He has a team that could do something.
Right.
To where it's not like, oh, Ryan Pace is kind of like where it's kind of been equally shares of their fault.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, we don't really want to get rid of both of them. Now Pace has put himself up to where if something goes wrong in the next 2 years, it's Nagy first and then Pace.
Yeah.
But here's a question, boys. So Andy Dalton goes out there. He's stinking it up.
Mm-hmm.
Do we put Fields in or do we let him
So,
develop for a year?
This
are your
is
guys' thoughts?
something that kind of comes back with the Nagy thing. This is why I think there's a lot of pressure on him, is because it's how is he going to handle this situation? There's no doubt Justin Fields is also Matt Nagy's guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now it's a very delicate situation. You have to develop Fields at the right pace, but at the proper rate, right? You got to develop him correctly.
Yeah.
But if you rush it, you can have a Trubisky situation.
Yeah,
Mitch came in way too soon. Granted, he had a way worse quarterback room to be put in. Completely different head coach in front of him and different offensive system and everything. Either way, his development easily took a shot because of that. It is what it is. I think personally that Fields at the very least is on the bench until the bye week, no matter what, unless the Bears come out and go like 0-4, and it has to be clear that Dalton can't do the job.
Yeah.
You can lose. You can go 0-4, and Dalton can be averaging 2 touchdowns a game, and it's not really your offense. You're just getting bad breaks. You're getting bitten like the Chargers did for several years.
Yeah.
That's completely different. Then your quarterback's not the reason you're losing games. You're just having a rough go of it. It's very difficult. I don't think Fields should be the day one starter. I'm an advocate for quarterbacks being taken in the first round starting right away. But because this is the Bears and this could be our potential franchise quarterback for this team, I really want it to be done properly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want a Pat Mahomes situation. I want him because, I mean, Andy Dalton may not be the best quarterback, but he's got experience. That's one thing that,
like Nick said, total upgrade from last year.
Yeah.
My whole thing about day one starter, it's got to be Dalton. And I think you look at it as the Bears had no idea they were going to even have a chance at Fields.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, you're going to get Dalton because if you're going to get Kellen Mond or Kyle Trask, they're for sure.
It was going to be Dalton
starter. So I feel like for Fields, it's not even so much of, even if Dalton plays bad the first 5-6 weeks, if the O-line isn't giving decent protection, I feel like you got to sit Fields because I don't want him running for his life.
That's true.
I agree.
So with the rookie, they get rid of Leno, which I know we're going to talk about, and they get this new guy, and it's like, they've always had problems with moving guys from like guard to tackle, centers around.
They had to shuffle that O-line a lot.
I feel like a lot of times you see teams, it's like, oh, this is their 5th or 6th offensive line set they've had this season. Once the Bears get to, this has been the same 5 guys that have played in the same 5 positions for 2 or 3 weeks. Then if Dalton starts to struggle, then Fields should come in.
Yeah.
But really, I could see Fields not playing all year if that happens, or if Dalton's if Dalton has a decent season, I feel like Fields can just sit on the bench for a year and then we'll go from there.
I'm going to be as patient as possible. Personally, I would love to see him play right away, but you have to be smart. Bobby, your thoughts?
Honestly, right off here. Like, I don't care
Red
what
shirt
happens.
year, basically.
Yeah, I don't care what happens. We go 0-17. Do not start him. Just let him learn, develop, and then you know what I mean. We'll put him in the year after, and then you could just continue on with him when he's way more experienced.
Yeah, but something to note about Fields, right? A lot of times when you're talking about guys sitting their rookie year, basically the equivalent of red shirting, at the quarterback's position and whatnot, it's to learn the game, right? Let the mental aspect of it catch up to them. Oh, sorry, I'm feeling a hiccup coming. Anyway, so let that mental aspect catch up to them. Fields scored the highest ever score on the NFL's aptitude test. I mean, the highest ever. He scored a 130.
Oh, yeah, don't get me
Pat
wrong.
Mahomes scored a 110. So I honestly believe that Fields mentally and physically can start day one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, like I said, honestly, Fields was my favorite quarterback in the draft.
We know.
Yeah. I honestly do think that, but like I said, there's nothing.
Be smart.
Yeah, be smart. It's not going to hurt him to sit for a year and
No,
get
it
more
won't.
experience.
I don't want the last thing we want is a panic move where you just throw him out there because you're giving into the pressure of like the media and the fans.
Exactly.
No, people are always going to be calling for him to come in, no matter what. Dalton can have the Bears go 6-0 at the start of the season and then have one bad game, and it's Fields' turn. It's time for Fields.
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily true. Like I don't want to end up like what the Dolphins did last year with Fitzpatrick and Tua.
Yeah.
When Fields comes in, I don't even want to have a last year Bears season where it was Trubisky, then Foles, and back to Trubisky.
The carousel.
Whenever the move gets made from Dalton to Fields,
it
needs to be that until an injury happens to Fields, or if something big happens where
knock on wood.
Don't say that, Nick.
If two linemen get hurt or something happens where like I don't know if COVID protocol is still going to be a thing, but if that goes through and you got a weak offensive line, I would prefer them to put out Andy Dalton for him not to have a Joe Burrow situation. I'd rather if it's weaker protection, I'd be like, hey, sorry, Andy Dalton, we're going to put you out there because
you to the wolves.
We don't want to ruin Fields, future.
I agree.
Where I don't want to flip flop back and forth, especially like the Dolphins. I feel like that ruins a confidence of a
honestly
quarterback.
Think that's the reason the Dolphins didn't make the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
Tua came out and it was clear he wasn't ready. Physically, I didn't think he was ready. The game was too fast for him, if you ask me. He averaged like 3 points, like 3.3 yards, like air yards on his pass attempts. He's basically throwing screen passes every play or quick slants. So now, obviously, Fields is different. I think he's more physically talented and will be able to make more throws than Tua. But the point still is that they put in a quarterback when he wasn't ready. and it hurt them because it was the offense regressed. Fitzmagic is Fitzmagic, and his players, no matter what team he is on, they rally behind him.
Yeah,
they play hard for him.
Dude, he was having one of the best.
He was having a great year.
Yeah,
it made no sense to make that move when they did.
I don't know why they did that. And then now all this talk about
they might not even be sold on him.
Yeah,
well,
now
the whole thing is they didn't know if they were going to take a quarterback. There was no definitive answer in the draft that we're not taking quarterback with our first round pick
for the Dolphins
for Miami.
Yeah.
So it's like I was still when Fields was still there. I was worried that Miami might take him just because they could,
that
which
been
is
something.
Which is even worse of a confidence for Tua because Tua's like I got replaced after starting a couple games with Fitzpatrick, and now my team's not 100% sold on me.
Yeah, my shocking thing is like, why did the Broncos not take him?
You know? I don't know.
Like, dude,
I have no idea what I think.
I feel like the Broncos,
I honestly,
I'll let you go.
Yeah. So here's what I think it is with the Broncos. The Aaron Rodgers news broke that he does not want to be back in Green Bay. The latest reports are that he is just talking all kinds of smack about the GM. I don't even know how do you pronounce his name? Gutekunst or something?
I think it's like
something like that. It's a weird name. But from what I've seen and what I've heard is that he gave an ultimatum, said, if you want me to be quarterback for the Packers, fire this guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been sending texts and whatnot comparing him to, the Bulls GM. Jerry Krause. I don't know why I couldn't think of it. Yeah. He's been comparing the Gutekunst, or however you say it, to Jerry Krause. So I think Denver believes that they're in play for Rodgers.
Yeah.
And I think when that news broke, they were just like, that's it. That's our plan. We're going to get Aaron Rodgers if it kills us.
I think Denver's plan was they would rather just the situation they're in right now is not a quarterback friendly situation. I look at it the same way as like the Jets taking Darnold. I feel like Darnold was put in a bad position being on the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the Broncos were like, and I don't know how much, sway John Elway had in this decision or whatever, but being like, hey, you're not ready for a first round quarterback.
I don't know.
Shore up some, like their whole team needs some work.
No, so dude, I think Denver is like a quarterback away.
I don't think so.
They need some O-line help. They're tough. They are like the epitome of my. They're the AFC's version of the Bears. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Talent on both sides of the ball, questionable offensive line, bad quarterback play. Now, I believe the Bears are a quarterback away. Denver's probably also a quarterback away, but they might have been a little bit more tentative because they're not as confident.
And my whole thing with that, I think that the Broncos possibly could have been looking at is you have guys like Rodgers was kind of struggles like that. You really don't know what the Lions are going to do with Goff in the long term. You have no idea what the Falcons are doing with Matt Ryan. If they're like, hey, we can wait till next year. One of these teams is going to, kick their long-time quarterback off.
They got Teddy Bridgewater to be their quarterback.
They got Teddy Bridgewater. They're like Teddy Bridgewater's not the long term, but if we went and wasted, what did they have, the 7th pick this year?
They had the 9th.
If they're like, if we take a top 10 pick and don't go out and pick one of these corners or wide receivers that everyone's talking about, we might have a quarterback who has no one to throw to in a couple of years and a defense that's going to suck. So I feel like they're like, hey, Teddy Bridgewater played great last year. If he has a decent year, we'll take it.
I wouldn't say great. But I mean, he played
great for him, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he didn't, again, what we were talking about in the past couple weeks, he never hurt his team as being the quarterback.
Yeah.
If anything, he kept them exactly where they should have been. So if the Broncos are like,
average at best.
If the Broncos are like, hey, if we can have the reverse luck of the Chargers and win some of these close games, have some luck plays where we cannot waste a top 10 pick on a quarterback, and then in the next couple of years, maybe get an Aaron Rodgers or Matt Ryan, or in a couple of years, we're going to go back and get a top 5 pick that's a quarterback.
Yeah, like I said, dude, it was just a perfect storm for the Bears.
The stars aligned. Everything had to work out for them.
No one was sold on him, and I be honest with me and Bobby, we were both kind of sold on him after that pro day. For me, after the pro day, I was like number 2 for sure.
Yeah,
Bobby, I wasn't critical necessarily of Fields. I'm skeptical of the Ohio State system.
Yeah.
So, to your credit, you kept mentioning Ryan Day is the guy who was there for Fields instead of Urban Meyer, which is why I kind of lightened up on how I was about it. Also, I've always agreed physically. I thought he was the most talented in the draft. I'm always worried about Ohio State quarterbacks because there is a curse, right? Like it's not something I'm making up. It's a real thing.
But I feel
however, I feel differently.
USC quarterbacks kind of had that.
USC quarterbacks go through the same thing. But
except for Carson Palmer.
Carson
Yeah,
Palmer,
Great man.
Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez, Matt Leinart. Like,
Don't even throw
but-
Mark Sanchez's name next to Carson Palmer.
But-
That's just an insult.
Either way, Fields is very talented, and if you're smart about it, you develop him properly.
Yeah.
You could be looking at a legitimate franchise quarterback, possibly even the best QB from this draft class.
I agree. He definitely has that potential.
I feel bad. I think Zach Wilson's gonna be the bust of the draft just because of where he's ending up. But we don't know what the new Jets are gonna be now.
yeah.
yeah. No.
Right. I do get the feeling that it's a completely different situation that he's coming into than Darnold did a few
I
years
think
ago.
Robert Salah is a tremendous upgrade.
I think you're coming into way
from
more stability
Adam
and
Gase,
like
right?
a
'Cause-
coach that's in touch with everything.
And you got Mark LaFleur. Like,
yeah. So
Yeah.
you have he's in a better situation to succeed there than Darnold was.
no.
Darnold was handed a crap show.
Yeah.
Let's be fair to him.
Yeah.
He was easily put in the worst position out of that draft.
Oh, yeah. He definitely
and
was.
it was expected probably the most because they were like,
It's New York.
This is our turnaround guy.
Yeah, and it's
And
New
then
York. So
It just
there's
didn't work out.
all kinds
But
of things. The poor
That's all
guy.
my thing for the Bears is not so much Fields versus Dalton. It needs to be the O line has to be ready to have Justin Fields be behind them.
Right. And
It's-
speaking of the O line,
That's what I was going to talk about. Leno.
yeah, Leno
being
just got cut. Curious.
Were you surprised by it? I was kind of shocked.
So it's tough, right? I wasn't shocked I was surprised. I wasn't like, oh my God, what just happened? But it was definitely like, what? I didn't think that was gonna happen. What I honestly thought was gonna happen with that Bears O line, I figured that Jenkins would become the left tackle, and then they would move Leno to right tackle. Leno, I think, is fine as a right tackle. He's an average tackle. He's not the worst thing in the world. He just the last 2 years had really struggled on the left side of the line. Put him at right tackle, take some pressure off of him. He's not always facing the top pass rusher on every team that way. I thought he would be better served on the right side of the ball. But they went ahead and cut him. It cleared up, I think, $6.2 million in cap space, $9 million overall.
I feel like that was more of the move that made sense in my mind. Like Charles Leno, you always hear that name and you're like, okay, he's been a consistent offensive lineman and a decent player for a while. I feel like the decision to cut him was more cap related.
Yeah.
Where they were like,
probably.
by us cutting him and playing the next guy up in that position, we're not really losing much. So they were like, you know what? What's the big risk here?
Yeah, no,
That's what I'm looking at.
I mean, they went out and got Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borum. So, I mean, those two
but
guys,
that guy's more, what's it, Borum?
Borum.
That's how you pronounce it?
But, I mean,
He's more of like an interior line. He's like a guard type.
But he is versatile.
He's versatile.
He started it
And-
in all positions across the line.
That's fair.
So, obviously, they're planning on putting him somewhere and moving someone out.
And they
but,
still have Ifedi
yeah.
to the right side, who, after they moved him back to tackle, because he started at a guard last year, never playing
I
guard.
don't
They
know
moved him
why.
back to tackle, and he was serviceable. He was fine at right tackle after that.
Yeah.
They just waited. They took 8 weeks to make that move for him.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
They
They took Bobby Massey went down 5 weeks into the season. That's when the switch happened.
Yeah.
So, in fact, it was the first Packers game is when he.
Oh,
when-
yeah.
That's when Massey went out, I'm pretty sure. And
Yeah.
then the next week is when Ifedi got moved back. Worked out well for him.
I think that we have a pretty decent offense.
Serviceable at the very least.
And I think the Charles Leno thing it definitely just
It was a cat move, but
because then they went out and signed Demir Bird.
yeah,
So I mean, they clearly, I think they planned on doing this.
speedy
Yeah.
guy.
What I've seen right now is the 5 offensive linemen the Bears have a chance of putting out. The only two things that switch are Ifedi and Borum. So they're thinking Tevin Jenkins at left tackle, Cody Whitehair at left guard, Sam Mustipher at center,
Mhm.
James Daniels at right guard, and then Ifedi at right tackle or Larry Borum, just depending on who
I
develops better
could
over
get
the
behind
summer.
that. I would swap Daniels and Whitehair between left and right because Daniels has played more left guard than right guard, and Whitehair played more right guard than left guard.
Which that's my whole thing is over the summer, that's their needed thing to figure out. Where
Yeah.
side do you like to play on better? And then exactly why I think Dalton should be week 1 starter guaranteed.
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
Fields
But
outshines him. It's just like we need to figure out who's playing where. And then after we figure that out,
Mhm.
then we can decide about possibly bringing in Fields.
I think watching Borum and Ifedi, that's going to be the competition, so to speak.
Yeah. I
This
feel like the other
offseason is who's
four
going to be
are
our
set
right tackle. I don't know much about the Borum guy other than he's very versatile. He can kind of plug and play on that O-line wherever you need him. He's a fifth round pick.
Yeah, he was
He's a fifth round pick. So, he's not
huge
going to be
expectations.
he's not going to be Tevin Jenkins, obviously.
No.
He's probably not going to be up to speed with where Ifedi is at currently.
Yeah, I mean,
but he's youth. He's very cheap, although Ifedi's not expensive at all this year.
no, yeah, he's not at all.
So honestly, it's probably going to work similar to our quarterback situation where Ifedi will probably take over reins at right tackle. And then if he struggles, Borum will probably find his way in, or barring injury, because O-linemen are susceptible to injuries, unfortunately.
I think Barham was more of a play for just added depth. Because I think they went into this draft knowing that they wanted to cut.
Especially, and going back to depth on the O-line, especially after last year, the amount of injuries they had. I mean, the Bears dipped into practice squad.
Yeah.
And to be fair, we found Sam Mustipher, who proved to be a pretty good center.
Yeah.
Very smart guy, not the biggest or most physical guy, but he's a smart, intelligent center, which
if you know who to block and when to release a block and get the next guy who's coming in, if you can make those split-second decisions, that's really all you're looking for. You don't have to be the biggest guy.
Yeah. Olin Kreutz gave glowing reviews of Mustipher at center, and I trust Olin Kreutz's analysis of O-linemen more than basically anyone's, because he's done it. He's lived the position. Very good center for the Bears forever. So he knows what he's talking about. He's not a fool.
Yeah. That's why I like Jeff Saturday was very high on Tevin Jenkins. So when the Bears took him, I was like,
Jenkins, I'm telling you, dude, if you
when
watch
Jeff
his
Saturday
draft
says
video,
anything about offensive linemen, I'm like, okay, that means he's good.
Yeah.
Unless he says that guy sucks, then
if you watched his draft video of him like just reacting to when he got drafted, it was a crazy kind of calm. Yeah. Dude was just sitting in his recliner. He's like, "Yep, that's me." He looks all nice and everything, but you could tell he will kill you for trying to get at the quarterback. It doesn't matter. He will kill you. Very excited about that move.
Yeah, I am too. Like
very, very excited for the Bears.
I'm very excited that the Bears
did it right.
They did it right. They didn't trade. If anything, they got guys that fell down and then traded up to get
Fields.
them there.
But Fields fell to 11.
Yeah.
So
like my whole thing is, if the Bears traded up to if Justin Fields would have been taken at 3, is where I think he should have been taken at, because I feel like the Jets were too high on Wilson. I would have been upset that they traded, whatever to get to 3.
Yeah.
But for them to trade down to 11, I'm like, okay, you saved yourself 8 spots of
and they
movement.
barely gave up anything
and
to get there.
They gave up their 20th pick to then get Tevin Jenkins, who they probably should have got at 20 in the first place. So they literally got 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, Pace worked his magic. Very, very awesome.
Yeah, they gave up a 2022 first round, 21 fifth round, and a 2022 fourth round.
Yeah.
Like
everyone's acting like they sold the farm.
Like
we kept both day 2 picks.
Like, yeah, consider
both years.
What San Francisco gave up, like that's nothing.
You look at what the Houston Texans gave up to go get Watson, or same thing with the Chiefs for Mahomes. Right? If Fields is going to play out like those 2 guys did, we gave up way less than those guys for our guy.
I just look at it as they really didn't give up. Yeah, they gave up 1 first-round pick. But
essentially, yeah.
You can look at first-round picks as they're not 100% guaranteed, whereas you're getting 2 guys that are helping your team today.
Yeah, and if you win like they believe they will next year, it's a late-round pick. Even less of a guarantee, less dynamite prospect.
Say they get somewhere like in the 20s, like 20s, pretty much exactly where they are now.
If they're
this
in the
year,
20
it's
or up, it's a good trade.
Okay, you have no idea what even's going to be the talent.
Yeah.
At that position, or if any of them's going to fill your needs.
The only way it'll sting is if the Bears pick in the top 10 next year.
Yeah.
But even then, if Fields develops properly, I'll be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. So I do want to, Bobby, what on A to F scale, what are you grading this for the Bears?
I'm giving them an A. If they didn't have to like trade up and all that, I would give them an A+. But they traded up, so they lost a little draft pick. But I'm giving them an A, and Pace got me excited for the Bears' future.
Changed your mind about him a little bit?
Yeah.
Or at least helped heal some of the wounds from his past decisions?
No.
Changed your mind completely?
He's redeemed himself.
So you support Pace now going forward?
I'm a Pace supporter now.
So you're going to be on my side now when those arguments start. You're going to be patient with him?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to be very patient.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. It's a lonely life
It's
being
a-
over
it's
here as
a-
a Pace defender. Let me tell you.
It was like the Dumb and Dumber meme. Did you guys see that?
No.
He like pulls up and he's just like, just when you thought you couldn't get any more dumber, you go and completely redeem yourself. That's exactly what I thought with Pace.
Yeah. Nick, your
That-
grade?
For me, I'm gonna give him an A+
Yeah, boy.
for the simple fact as they traded up, but not into a ridiculous spot to then
They
take someone who they could
didn't
have stayed
mortgage
at.
their entire
Yeah,
future.
my whole thing is like when they got Trubisky, people were mad they traded up. If they would have stayed and kept Trubisky, it would have been fine. This
It
time
would
they,
have been easier to swallow. I
they
agree.
traded up to get guys who should have been taken already. So
Yeah.
it made
Yeah.
sense. Like
Yeah,
really, at any point, Tevin Jenkins could have been picked before they picked.
They capitalized on people falling.
And anytime, any
Yeah,
pick,
so
if they did not trade up 11 through 19, any single team that needed a quarterback could have taken Fields.
Yeah.
So it
I
made
agree.
sense. So I'm going to give them an A+, and they didn't give up much. They could have given up.
That's
multiple
exactly
first
where I
rounds.
stand. I also am giving them an A+. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if just their first two picks alone, I was giving them an A. I'm a fan of the late round picks too. You know,
Yeah.
we made Pace made the most of his, what was it, like 5 picks
Yeah.
from the 5th round back.
And Thomas Graham, the cornerback that you picked up in the 6th round, like
Yeah.
honestly, he could be your starting nickel tackle.
Yeah.
Like
He
day
can
one.
be a contributor right away. Pace is always good at finding guys later in the draft. So I trust what he does from rounds 4 and back.
Yeah.
But to see that he had conviction and was aggressive and got who I believe and who the majority of the media and everyone believes to be the right guys, A+ for me. Who would have thought that we'd be sitting here talking about a Ryan Pace draft, first 2 picks, and it's an A+.
Dude, I couldn't even predict this, man.
I was already prepared for some kind of crazy debacle.
Dude, going to sleep draft night, which
I was so excited.
I already bought my Justin Fields trade.
Did you really?
I bought it the night of the
I came
draft.
so close. I really came close, but I was like, I'm gonna wait. I know it's already confirmed he's number 1. He's gonna wear number 1.
As soon as that popped up on my Twitter feed, I went and bought
But
it.
I do want to wait and see if they make it in that 1936 alternate one, the Tariq Cohen jersey you have.
Dude, they already got it.
Do they?
Yeah, you could go down there and buy it.
Ooh, all right. So for a certain listener that likes to buy me gifts, if you heard that,
Yeah, it's in stock. Yeah.
it's in stock. I'll send you my size. Just kidding. Just kidding. No, I'm super excited.
I am too. Going to sleep draft night, I was in shock. I couldn't believe
Dude,
it. Like, it was like
I was wired. I was annoying Mel with how much I talked about it that following weekend. She was over it. She's like, I'm sick of the draft. And I was just like, Mel, you don't get it. I made her listen to like an hour, 2 hours of Chicago sports radio
dude,
on the drive to Michigan. Basically, until the radio didn't let us listen to it anymore, I was like, Mel, you have to understand the impact this has had on the city.
I feel like that's kind of the beat around Chicago is that for sure. And I feel like that is extended to other teams, but then I'm finally glad that we're not in the camp of, oh my gosh, another year of terrible draft picks, which I feel like some teams definitely had. But I'm finally happy that as a Chicago fan,
It's
I can be
not-
like, you know what? I am looking forward to the season, and I'm
Right.
looking forward to the draft picks we made.
Even if Fields doesn't play, there's excitement already
Yes.
about this team because of it.
yeah.
Because it breathes new life and like a actual future and reasons to be excited about
Yeah.
more than just, oh, it's opening day.
Yeah.
Like you have a reason to be excited for next
Yeah.
season already.
Yeah, like I said, this has changed my whole outlook on the
Yeah.
Bears' future going forward.
It's
I look at
incredible.
it as when the Khalil Mack trade happened, I was happy for the next season to watch Khalil Mack play, but I was also happy for the future of the Bears with Mack. I look at it the same way now. I'm happy to see in 2 years that we don't have to be like,
Who's our
after
quarterback?
next offseason, we're going to be like, who's going to be the quarterback?
That
I think-
conversation finally ends.
I think right now, for
the
now,
time being.
until Fields completely comes out and does something that no one expects and plays absolutely terrible, I think we have the quarterback for the next couple of years at
Yeah, dude,
least.
I think he's going to be the best
staple
quarterback.
10 plus years.
Yeah, like he's going to be the best quarterback the Bears ever
It was
had.
funny. I was talking to our friend Chris. He's like, I'm already ready to sign him to a Mike Trout level contract. I was
Oh
like,
my
dude, I feel that, but I'm not going to agree to that just yet.
feel that, but he has not
Either
stepped
way.
on an NFL field yet. I am not
Right.
comfortable
Either
with that.
way, like the excitement here, easily the Bears were by all metrics, according to the experts. Put that in air quotes for you guys listening. The experts all agree Bears won the draft, best draft of the entire NFL. So with that being said, I was curious about like who your guys' biggest winners and losers of the draft are. my biggest winner, we've talked about them forever. I'm going to go with the Bears. We don't have to dive into too much about why. I think we've covered that.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I wanted to, I tried to think of another team, but I just have so much excitement and was so hyped with what was going on with the Bears draft that I had to say Bears the biggest winner. The Fields move alone was just huge. Yep. It was huge. And so that's why I'm putting them as my winner. I'm curious who your guys' winners are, Nick.
I put my winner as the Dolphins.
Really?
I feel like with their sixth overall pick, they went and got Jalen Waddle, which I feel like just helps out Tua. As a running quarterback, you're always looking for chemistry with your playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. They went and got a guy who he's played with already.
Right, reunited.
Which is always a positive because you should know how he plays. Yes, he's going to be going up against NFL corners, so he might not be as open as he was at Alabama, but he knows how he operates. And then also they picked twice in the first round, which I think just helps.
Yeah. And they took Jalen Phillips, good edge rusher.
Jalen Phillips.
He was the best one. He just had a lot of injury concerns.
Mm-hmm. He was the older one, right? He came from UCLA?
Yeah. Where they forced him to stop because he had so many concussions. They forced him to retire.
Yeah.
Jalen Phillips was drafted from Miami.
Right.
So he's playing in the
Miami.
Same city that he just played college in, which I'm not saying for sure that's like like you playing somewhere, but he's used to the weather. He's used to the city, so it's not like he's gonna have to get acclimated to anything. I feel like
He'll fit right in.
I feel like they went and picked very chemistry heavy teams. Like you got to be a fan of the team that you're playing in the same city as a college player.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
No, I think Miami did a really good job.
I feel like Miami had a chance to take a quarterback and kind of screw up a lot. So I feel like they're winners in my book because
they're building around Tua with the Waddle move.
If they would have screwed up this draft, they could have been stupid, and I feel like they had the biggest opportunity to screw up, and they chose not to, which I feel like that puts them in the winner category.
That's a good analysis, Bobby. Who would you say your winner is?
I'm gonna have to stay in the NFC North, dude. The Minnesota Vikings. Honestly, they did a real great job. They filled all the holes that they needed to do.
They traded back. Yeah, they traded back to the Jets 23rd.
Yeah,
21?
23. Yeah, you're
23?
right. Yeah. So they traded back, got Christian Darrisaw, who
very good tackle.
Everyone thought that they were going to take him at 14.
Mm-hmm.
Then their next pick, they take who I thought the Bears were going to get, Kellen Mond, but
that was a good choice for a guy to sit behind because Kirk Cousins still has some playing time in him. Perfect. I think it's a great decision.
So I think he could be their future franchise replacement for Kirk Cousins. And then the next pick after that, they get Wyatt Davis. So and they got a bunch of people on the D line that they needed to address.
They had a good draft. I can agree. I'm a closeted Vikings fan. They're the team I root for in the NFC North when the Bears aren't doing well. Because one, I like Kirk Cousins, but two, I just always liked the Vikings. Not like crazy, but I've always kind of been like, you know what? They're the other team that just gets slept on all the time, so I root for them.
But I think they had a really good draft. Like, it's just they took people at good spots and
they didn't reach on anyone.
Yeah. And
you saw when the Bears traded up for Fields that the Vikings kind of were like, oh, okay, hold on, we got to recalibrate here.
Yeah. Which I think they did the smart move.
They did. They got some draft capital, right? You know what, they got a good tackle in Darrisaw.
I feel like if Darrisaw was taken, it's like, okay, we might be giving up who we want, but now we can regroup and relook at this as in who we're going to take. And I feel like they killed it. After
they probably could have taken Jenkins if Darrisaw wasn't there.
Yeah, they definitely.
They did everything right. They were allegedly in play for Fields. Bears jumped them, got Fields, and they went, "Wow, crap. Okay, we got to regroup here and rethink."
They definitely regrouped.
So guess what? They took advantage of the Jets' willingness to trade up to 14 and drop to 23, and still got one of the top 3 tackles. Because who did the Jets take?
The Jets took Elijah Vera-Tucker,
and he's more of like a guard type.
Yeah, he's a guard, which they really needed a guard. So.
Yeah, so I mean, you were able to still get your tackle that you need. Darrisaw, I think, is very talented, very strong. Too. And then I also, like you, Bobby, I like the Kellen Mond pick. We both were guys who thought that Kellen Mond was going to be the QB that the Bears should look at in the second round.
Yeah, because I only thought the Bears were going to be in play for a day 2 quarterback. So, but out of all the day 2 quarterbacks, Kellen Mond is my favorite.
Kellen Mond's a good pick. And the nice thing is he's on a team where he doesn't need to rush into starting because I still think Kirk Cousins is an above average quarterback.
Yeah, but I think Kellen Mond's potential
It's-
is higher than
Yeah,
what
for
Kirk
sure.
Cousins
Yeah,
is.
no, absolutely. But as it stands right now, Kellen Mond is still a developmental quarterback.
Yeah, like they're gonna have to.
He's got plenty of talent and physical talent, but he needs to adjust a little bit more. Kirk Cousins is already clearly NFL ready. You know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean, but I'm just saying, like, for the pick for down the line,
His ceiling is higher.
Yeah, he has a high ceiling.
Higher ceiling. Kirk Cousins is at his ceiling. I don't see Kirk Cousins getting exponentially better anymore.
No, he'll just have
You
slightly
have
more
what you
above
have with
average
Kirk
years.
Cousins. He is who you think he is, right?
Yeah.
He's a guy who'll get you 2 or 3 touchdowns a game. He's not a big turnover guy, although I think he had an uptick in turnovers last year. I don't remember quite what his stats were. But he's an above average game manager he's not going to be the guy who puts your team in positions to lose.
That's true.
But I like Kirk Cousins. He's honestly one of the best, in my opinion, QBs for someone like Mond to sit behind.
Yeah, no, I think it's good for him to sit.
Yeah,
and learn.
because Mond is more of a mobile QB, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he is.
Kirk Cousins is more of a pocket passer. What better way to learn how to like play in the pocket than to watch someone like Kirk Cousins, who's made his career off of being a pocket passing quarterback?
Yeah.
So I agree. That's a fair pick for a winner.
But all I'm saying is, if Aaron Rodgers is not going to be back to Green Bay, Vikings can be a team we're gotta look out for.
Yeah, I agree. Vikings their secondary still needs some work. There's a lot of rookies on that secondary.
Yeah.
But Patrick Peterson should help.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
They're in a good. The Vikings are. I view them in a similar position as the Bears, right? Where depending on what happens in Green Bay, fighting for that number 2 in the division.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers leaves, dude.
If Aaron Rodgers leaves, I think the race is between the Vikings or the Bears. Nothing against Jordan Love. I just don't know how good he is.
He's not going to be able to come to an NFC North defensive heavy.
Oh, the NFC North
Conference.
is such a tough place
dude,
for
Aaron Rodgers. That's some
Every
big shoes to
quarterback
fill.
in the NFC North. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're all studs, but always struggles playing against divisional opponents, except for Aaron Rodgers because he's just a different animal.
Let's be fair. Trubisky, for whatever it was, the Lions and the Vikings, Mitch knew how to play his best football against them.
True.
Green Bay, completely different. Green Bay always made him look like a scrub.
Throwing the triple coverage.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, part of that is Nagy. Nagy knows how to beat those two teams. The Green Bay constantly continues to be the thorn in the side of the Bears, though.
But I feel like it's Rodgers actually puts that pressure on because you know that most likely Rodgers is going to get you 28 points.
Oh,
so,
yeah, Rodgers
so as
will put you over
as an
24
opposing
points a
quarterback,
game.
you're like we have to throw the ball. We can't just it's 7-0
They
now.
apply pressure. You have
but
to
it
take
eventually
advantage
will
of
be
their weaker
28. Yeah.
defense.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is Green Bay. So
Jordan Love would have a very difficult time
Yeah.
replicating that success. Not saying he can't do it.
I'm looking at it
It's
as like
just, I don't think he's ready to.
The Brett Favre shoes to fill were huge for Aaron Rodgers, and he did fill them. I'm saying it's hard to strike gold twice in the exact same spot.
This would be 3 times now.
Well, I know, but I'm saying like for it to be almost Brett Favre is amazing.
I get what you're
quarterback,
saying. To
but-
have your guy fill in for it's still kind of 3 times. Bart, they had some down years after Bart Starr.
Yeah, but to do that like right after where you
You
really
can't
didn't
go
even have that
3
down,
straight
you can't.
Hall of Fame level QBs. Now I shouldn't say you can't. You could. I don't know. It's very difficult.
It's very
now.
difficult. And then
I
go
don't know
through
if
the
Jordan
draft.
Love is the guy. Because if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't. No one really viewed him as a first-round quarterback to begin with.
No.
he was a back end.
Yeah, I guess that was I don't know. We'll see what happens. If he has to start, he has to start, and he's going to have a tough go of it going against the Bears defense, Vikings defense with hopefully a revamped secondary.
Yeah.
And we'll see what the Lions are all about now with their new coach.
They're going to bite kneecaps off. And
Yeah,
it's
the
just
Lions.
scary
He's
thing
going to
as a
lose his
quarterback.
kneecaps playing the Lions.
It's gonna be a race.
Chomp.
if
It'll be
Rodgers
interesting.
is
The
out.
NFC North can be very fun to watch next year.
Yeah,
Like just depending on how the Packers offseason plays out. We'll see though.
we'll see.
Um,
but right now, it's not.
As it
looking very
stands,
likely.
it's looking kind of rough for them.
Yeah.
A lot, Packers fans, You're not in my prayers.
Just bury your heads in the sand.
Yeah, just
do what the Bears fans
You know,
been doing for the past couple of years. when
if
it's
I were in
quarterback issues.
if I were in Packers fans' positions, I would be kind of bummed with all the news going on around the draft and around Aaron Rodgers. I'd be like, really? He wants to leave, and then we go and draft a cornerback or whatever they drafted.
Yeah, Eric Stokes.
It's got to be frustrating. These past 2 off seasons have to be very frustrating for Packers fans. But then again, it's something that happens every year with that team.
No, it is. It's literally they just don't draft help for Aaron Rodgers.
No, they don't. But he still succeeds because I still believe Aaron Rodgers, no matter how much I don't like the guy. I think he's one of the best to ever play quarterback.
Yeah,
personally.
I agree with you.
Only has the one Super Bowl ring. And I would have loved, would I have loved to see Mitch Trubisky win a Super Bowl in Chicago? Not because I'm a huge Mitch guy, but I would have been able to say that he has the same number of rings as Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
that would be the ultimate insult.
He has an MVP. No one else has an MVP.
He does have an MVP and Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Nick's
value player.
Whatever. Anyways,
I'm looking at his.
We're going Dolphins, Bears, Vikings as our winners of the draft. How about losers? Bobby, you care to start?
Dude, Los Angeles Rams. I don't know what they were doing. Their O-line is what they needed to address, and they didn't even address it in this draft. And then they go and take Tutu Atwell with their first pick.
I mean, they also give away first-round picks like it's candy on Halloween.
Dude, they don't even care about the draft at this point. Dude, they had way other better receivers on the board, and they take Tutu Atwell, who is 5'7". Like I said, he could end up being good, but
Goff knows what he knows. Or I'm sorry, McVay.
Yeah,
McVay knows what he knows.
I don't know, but it's just their draft made no sense to me, and I don't see them.
Fair enough.
Going back and going to the playoffs this year.
Fair enough. I went with the Texans just because they didn't pick until the 3rd round. They had to watch all these quarterbacks come off the board, and they went with Mills from Stanford. Is it David or Davis?
Davis.
I wanted to say that. I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah,
Davis Mills from Stanford. So what is that? It's more so what that move tells you about the Deshaun Watson situation. We won't dive into it, but with everything going on at their quarterback position, to me, this says that they are not confident that Deshaun Watson will be back next year. For whatever reasons, they don't think he'll be back. And so your first pick was a 3rd round pick, already not great.
Yeah.
And you don't have a good team, and you couldn't even pick in the top 64. And then you took a quarterback from Stanford. Now, I thought Davis Mills would have been an intriguing option for the Bears in like the 3rd round or back. However, he's not in my opinion, he's not NFL ready.
Yeah.
He would have been a guy worth taking a chance on to see if you can develop him. But he's not the guy that you bring in to solve your quarterback situation if it's not going well at the start of the season.
They had more holes on their team than like a piece of Swiss cheese, and they went with like a untested. Like they could have at least gotten
let's go take the holes.
They needed to go out and take the best player available. That's what they needed to do with their first pick.
And they did
because literally anybody that they had on their team would have helped and been
but it's tough to even do any of that. Picking your first pick is the 3rd round. And that just is how mismanaged their roster has been under Bill O'Brien. Because he just traded away picks like it was nothing.
He traded away picks. He
was the Rams.
He traded away Hopkins. Yeah, he just let J.J. Watt be like, hey, let's
down.
Just,
And now the new guys are there to pick up the pieces. Their first pick came in the 3rd round, and they took a quarterback that isn't really considered NFL ready. He's a guy who got all this hype around him because he was previously the number 1 prospect coming out of high school.
But, I mean, it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. And I'm not trying to slam Davis Mills' name or anything. Like I said, I thought possibly could be a guy who you take in the 3rd round, sit behind your starter, see if maybe he can develop into a solid Kirk Cousins style QB. That's a good career to be a Kirk Cousins style quarterback.
Yeah, but
it tells you everything you need to know about their quarterback situation. They're not confident in it.
It's looking pretty grim.
It's looking bad. They have too many holes to fill, not nearly enough picks to fill it.
And then they went with just the quarterback, which I don't know. I don't really know what you do in that position because
it's tough.
It's really not up to you as a coach or a GM to make Deshaun Watson play. I feel like he has a strong thing of being like, I just don't want to play.
Yeah, whatever keeps him out, I'm pretty sure he won't be playing next year.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it as they said, let's take Deshaun Watson's name off of our whiteboard. What would we take? on this pick, and they were like, you know what? Let's just see if a quarterback works.
Because they don't have someone behind Watson though, so you almost needed to go and address it just in case.
They did go and sign my boy Ty God.
Okay,
He ain't the worst.
Like,
if you're going off of the thought process that for whatever reason, whenever Tyrod Taylor starts at quarterback, the rookie that comes in after him has a breakout year,
Hey,
then maybe this could be some kind of developmental move
it's the Tyrod magic.
Yeah, it's Ty God's touch, man.
Yeah, man.
For whatever reason, the rookies that sit behind him
gets his lung punctured, and then
it's always something crazy. Like it's always he's never benched. He gets injured, and then the rookie comes in and is like, "Oh, I'm going to win Rookie of the Year this year now." So
except for Nathan
watch.
Peterman.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't forget about him.
Okay, so we'll see if Davis Mills has some Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert style rise, or a Nathan Peterman like fall.
5 picks in his first ever.
Yeah, dude, that was awful.
I think that was the rough.
worst
I felt
game
so
I've ever
bad.
watched.
I felt bad for the guy because you don't want to watch it happen to anyone. Texans, man, what? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, how's this?
They lost the draft. They're the losers of the draft for me. And you know what? Just so far this offseason, they're
been
the
the
losers
loser
of the offseason.
Since the season ended, they've been just losers every day.
Yeah, it's a rough go. It's rough for that organization. But whatever, good luck.
Yeah,
I'll be rooting for Davis Mills just because. Why not? Right, mid-round pick, might as well root for him. However, he is not in a situation to succeed there.
No,
not at all.
I don't think anyone that goes there is.
No.
But Nick, your losers.
I put 2 on there because both of them were kind of like mild reasons I put them as losers. I put the New York Giants as losers because a big issue that they've had is Saquon Barkley being hurt last year, which kind of wrecked their team. And then Daniel Jones needs protection. And they were just like, hey, we're not going to give you protection. We're going to go get a wide receiver, which I thought their wide receiver core was strong enough.
They took Bateman?
No. Kadarius Toney.
Bateman. Yeah, I remember we talked about. We thought Bateman should have been the pick.
Yeah. I do like Kadarius Toney though.
I like him, but I was looking at the team of you did not pick the whole. You picked a good player,
but you didn't address. You could have picked a good player that also solved the need.
They were already good with receiving core, and they have Saquon Barkley. I would rather have an offensive lineman that could go out there and protect both of your cornerstones of your team.
Yeah,
not go get a wide receiver.
And the Kenny Galladay signing happened as well.
Yeah, I do agree with you, but Kadarius Toney is
okay. Yeah, but if Saquon Barkley breaks his knee
then,
again and Daniel Jones gets hurt with concussion, who's going to throw him the ball?
No, I get what you're saying, Bobby. Right? Kadarius Toney is he's a talented wide receiver. However, at 20, right, that's where the Bears were going to be. So we did all kinds of studying of this pick.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They were in play for Darisaw was there at 20. They were in play for guys.
Yeah.
Tevin Jenkins was there at 20. And their offensive line, since before Eli retired, has been a constant issue for them.
Yeah. But
they needed O-line. And I agree, Nick. I thought they should have addressed it, and they didn't.
The only thing, though, that was like the only thing that they didn't address in this draft.
I feel like that was their biggest hole. They skipped over their biggest thing, and it's like, okay, so you picked.
I don't know if you noticed their defense, but their defense is garbage, and they did a lot.
Yeah, but your team is Daniel Jones and Saquon
your
Barkley.
cornerstones are Barkley and
If Barkley
Jones.
gets hurt again,
it's a
Daniel
tough
Jones
call.
get hurt again, you're going to be trash in your conference, which is already or in your division. That's
I get your reasoning, but I did like the picks.
That's fair.
And
to be fair to them, they did trade back and get some picks from the Bears in next year's draft. So there's some kind of win to take away there.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Nick that I thought the pick should have been an O-lineman at 20.
My bigger loser out of the 2 teams that I had was the 49ers, just because they traded up and then just didn't take Justin Fields. That's my biggest thing.
I agree 100% with you.
Because I feel like, where did they trade up from?
12
to 3.
12. So, I mean, like, they could have been in the position where they would have been, okay, so yeah, if someone jumps up and then takes Fields in front of you at 12, but they could have almost had Justin Fields at 12 and not made this big move.
At
this rate.
So I'm looking at a Mitch Trubisky situation, but worse because they just kind of moved up to take Trey Lance, who
has played, correct me if I'm wrong,
17 games.
17 games, and only started 1 year of high school football.
I didn't know that.
It's
He has
a
played
very
2
similar.
full seasons since high school, one of them being his senior year.
I'll give it to him. They canceled the season due to COVID.
I know, that's fair.
It's not
but
really his
the
fault,
experience is still something, right?
Yeah.
Physically, he's very talented, but we don't know what he is beyond his raw physical talent.
I just look at you traded up and then saw what happened, and then like you could have had still the second best quarterback in the draft.
All I smell is a Trubisky 2.0 happening, and it's not on the
Trey
Bears.
Bisky. That's what I've been calling him, Trey Bisky.
But like if they would have stayed at 12 and even the same draft plays out exactly the same way, and then Bears trade up and get Fields right in front of them, then they get Mac Jones, and they don't give up anything to get a quarterback who is still there.
Funny thing is with that,
they still have Jimmy G.
Like the funny thing is, the media is now talking about how Mac Jones should have been the pick over Lance if it was between the two, which is hilarious to me, right? Because people were like, "No, Mac Jones, that's a reach at 3," and then the pick happens. Now it's like, well, why would they do that? He's clearly not NFL ready. Mac Jones is plug and play right now. But it's just funny the way way the national media works with that thing.
They always spin it a different way.
I only say that because at work we have Sports Center play in the lobby, and I'm overhearing it all the time. And I'm like, these fools, man.
Yeah, they just try to spin it anyway. Like I said, Trey Lance is probably going into one of the best situations.
Yeah, he's getting a very smart coach that can work with him.
And another situation where he's probably not going to be a week 1 starter, and he'd really just have to worry about that.
You have no idea with San Francisco is.
I look at San Francisco last year,
big question mark,
as they could have been a possible playoff team if Kittle didn't get hurt. They had so many injury problems.
Yeah, they just got
they got snake bitten.
People talk about like the Bears being a quarterback away or the Broncos being a quarterback away. The 49ers were already there. They were already a playoff team. They were already as good as you would want them to be. They were in the
Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and they just had an injury bug.
Yeah,
2 years ago.
And it's like, okay, so you went traded up to 3 to then get Trey Lance to where like really you didn't really need any holes to be filled on offense, maybe wide receiver or something. And you went and got Trey Lance. I just look at them as losers. They could have done something. They could have done something a lot better with 12, and they could have for sure done a lot better with 3.
Yeah, but there's no way to know for sure until their careers play out. But I agree with you to an extent. I wouldn't put the 49ers as losers because they still got one of the top quarterbacks in the draft. He's a huge question mark. Don't get me wrong.
He's a huge question mark.
Out of all the QBs, he's the one that I'm least sold on simply because of his lack of experience. I think
I'm more sold on him than Mac Jones.
Mac Jones is in. It's
the only 2 quarterbacks I'm sold on in this draft are Fields and Lawrence. Every other quarterback, I have no idea what they're going to be.
Yeah,
I mean, I really don't have any idea what any of those 5. But
you won't know until their careers play out.
That's true, but I just have to say Mac Jones was my least favorite going into the draft.
That's fair. He's a boring pick.
Yeah,
that sounds too harsh.
It was kind of.
He's your run-of-the-mill quarterback. He's a Patriot-style quarterback. He went to the place where he should have ended up is New England, and that's where he ended up. So good for him for that.
That's where that's the whole big thing is he just got a bunch of, spice thrown around his name to possibly get picked at 3, but really he should have been a 15 overall pick or lower, and that's where he ended up going. So it's just like, all this hype, he's gonna get taken, and then nope.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at steals as just individual players, and for me, I think I got to go with Greg Newsome to Cleveland. From all the stuff I've heard and talked about, he's one of those hard-nosed cornerbacks who is going to surprise some people. And when the Bears were still at 20, I saw some people putting him there, and I was like, you know what? I really want them to go offensive line, but if they pick the guy from Northwestern, just down the street,
for the Northwestern guys.
Yep.
From what I've heard from Pat Fitzgerald,
yeah,
from what he's talked about, what his teammates have talked about at Northwestern, and what some defensive backs around the league have talked about, he's an amazing cornerback, and I feel like the Browns are already set on offense, so they made that move. Let's go get someone who's going to help us where we need help.
Yeah,
and I feel like that was a smart move, and I feel like he could have easily went in the teens.
I agree with you. I think he should have went off the board before Caleb Farley did.
I thought he should have been the 3rd. Cornerback taken. That's where I had him at in my rankings, at least. Yeah, that's a good steal. My biggest surprise of the draft isn't a steal. Well, my biggest surprise was Justin Fields. All right, if you watched our live stream,
Oh yeah, it
our live
definitely
stream,
was.
mine and Bobby's reaction tell you everything you need to know. But I don't want to beat a dead horse talking about that same thing for the entire show. My biggest surprise wasn't a steal; it was more of a reach, and that would be no disrespect to the man, but Alex Leatherwood being picked at 17 by the Raiders was, to me, it was a reach. Out of all the O linemen that went in the first 2 rounds, or at least the big names that went in the first 2 rounds, I thought he should have for sure been a second round pick. But this is what the Raiders do. The Raiders reach on O linemen all the time.
Yeah, they did, but I'll give it to them. They made it up for with their second pick.
They Trevon Moehrig did come to them in the second round.
Yeah.
Now there's some luck there because I would have never guessed he'd fall to them.
because they should have fought picks.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it worked, right? I guess it worked.
They just like to, beat
just-
pressure. They're like, oh, maybe he might get picked. Let's just pick Leatherwood and then see
it
what
felt
happens.
like
yeah.
it felt like a reach to me.
No, it was definitely.
I was
a
definitely
secret.
surprised by that one because I figured at best he's getting picked in one of the last 2 or 3 picks of the first round,
and then
he went 17th.
Yeah,
good for him, right?
Yeah.
Congrats, dude! You got picked 17th when no one thought you would. So that your pay is gonna be that much more, like a couple or $1 million or $2 million more a year. So that's good, right? I'm happy for him there. It surprised me. It's not the move I thought was gonna happen at 17.
Yeah, no. See, my 2. I had to pick 2.
I also have another surprise.
Oh,
after you. We'll see if we're thinking the same thing.
I got Cleveland landing Jeremiah Osu Koromoa
Okay.
in the second round.
Okay.
I had him
you were
going
very
first
high
round.
on him.
Dude,
You thought he was going first round.
Yeah, I thought he was going first round, and then they get him like mid second round. So they got 2 huge impact players right in a row, and then I had the Lions taking Amon-Ra St. Brown. He fell to the 4th round. I thought for sure late second round, early third round.
Okay,
and then,
so you went with 2 steals.
yeah.
My other surprise was the Denver picking Patrick Surtain
Oh yeah.
and J.C. Horn going to Carolina.
Those
were surprise.
yeah.
Those were also surprising to
Yeah.
me. I didn't go off of many steals, if I'm being real. I went with the picks that were more of like, wow, that actually happened.
No,
I
I
don't know
agree.
why.
Yeah. No, I agree. Those I did not see happen. I did not see J.C. Horn go.
It was surprising that all of it worked out that way. Something I wanted to ask you guys, we talked about it. Oh, rookies that'll be starting. Should they sit? Should they start? Out of all the rookies in this draft class, who is it that you think will make the biggest impact right away? Yes, we will allow Trevor Lawrence to be one of the names that you can say will make the biggest impact right away if you choose to. Nick?
I think for me, I gotta go with my one surprise that I put on my draft board, and you guys were surprised that it actually panned out, is Travis Etienne to Jacksonville.
Yeah, you did.
I feel like when
the world with that one.
when you put a quarterback with so much pressure on being a star instantly in Trevor Lawrence, to give him his running back that he's had alongside him the whole way, but then not only that, but such a good kind of I would call him like almost like a 2-way guard in basketball. He catches the ball and he can run the ball well.
Yeah,
he's a big guy. He can still plow down a lineman, but he's still fast to catch the ball.
Yeah, see, he has the one trait that James Robinson doesn't. He has speed and he has hands.
Yeah.
Like,
Which they've compared him to Kamara, and I'm assuming Kamara is still going to have a better career. And I know for sure McCaffrey is going to have a better career than Etienne. But by putting a guy like that, it takes some pressure off Lawrence. He doesn't have to make that long deep pass. He can be like, I'm going to dump it off, get 6 yards, and go.
Yeah,
Where-
and you give a nice 1-2 punch with Robinson and Etienne as well.
Plus you get to
you
that
got
position.
thunder and lightning. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you.
I
there.
feel like he's going to have the biggest impact on Trevor Lawrence, which will then have the biggest impact on Jacksonville.
Okay,
So
that's fair. That's a good breakdown of
transitive
it.
property. If Etienne's not there, I feel like Lawrence has not a great year. So I feel like he's going to make Trevor
helps.
Lawrence.
He
He's going
takes
to
a
make
lot of
Trevor
pressure
Lawrence
off,
a
and
number
that's-
1 pick for sure.
That's true. That's one of the big things about reuniting guys with their former college teammate. Are you going to go who I think you are?
I did go where Nick was going. I went running back. I went Najee Harris.
I thought for sure you were going to go Jamar Chase.
No.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
Still not enough time in the pocket for Burrow.
I mean, Burrow got his guy. I knew that was happening. They had to get him
fair
his
enough.
guy. But
So you're going with Najee Harris?
I think Najee Harris is going to be their rock. He's going to be their Ezekiel Elliott. Like, he's going to be run that ball nonstop.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm worried for him, just the amount of pressure that's going to be put on those legs, just of how much he's going to get hit. I feel like their O-line probably could have used some help too, but they also don't have a running back, so it's like, we know Big Ben can't carry the team anymore. What are we going to do?
Big Ben's time is coming.
yeah.
Man.
So it's just like,
So they have Dwayne Haskins now.
yeah.
So
when Ben just collapses from getting hit too many times, it's just like, all right, yep, there we
But
go.
I feel
No
like they're going to
disrespect.
be relying on their run game so much this year.
yeah,
that
now they have like a guy
They-
who's legit.
Dude, and he was my favorite running back.
No, and then
in-
no hurt to James Conner, but they got a guy who they want to be their starting running back.
Yeah,
I feel
he's
like
their
Conner,
workhorse.
James
the
Conner
bell
just
cow,
kind of
whatever
fell
they call
into the
it.
role he was
Yeah.
in. They're putting a guy who they want to be
Dude,
there.
I think Najee Harris is going to be better than Le'Veon Bell.
You think so?
For sure.
All right,
That's
well, remember you said that.
I saw
Le'Veon Bell had a meteoric start to his career before falling off with his holdout and everything.
Yeah, but
No, I know. I'm just reminding you. Le'Veon Bell was doing some crazy
all I'm
stuff.
telling you is I watched this man hurdle a Notre Dame cornerback.
Fair enough.
Hey,
Hurdle. Those happen a lot. Anyways, no.
he's athletic. That's
He's,
what
no,
I'm saying.
of course he's in the NFL. He has to be athletic.
Well, I'm saying, dude, he's a big brute, like back, but he's also like
yeah, I get it.
very athletic.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The guy who I think is going to make the biggest impact right away, I'm actually going to go with Penny Sewell.
Ooh.
I think he's going to do a lot to help Jared Goff in Detroit.
No, I
Penny Sewell fell, and he was the right pick for the Lions
Yeah.
to make.
I really think he should have went to Cincinnati because I feel like
I thought he should have gone to Cincinnati too.
Penny
but
Sewell is going to protect whoever's behind him,
yeah,
and that's probably one of the biggest impacts you can have because you're protecting crucial or arguably the most important position you have, whether
Yeah.
it's a first-round draft pick or he's been in the league for 6 years.
I think Penny Sewell is going to be a huge impact for that line
no.
over in Detroit, especially considering the defensive fronts that they're going to have to go up against 6 times a year with Minnesota, Chicago, and Green Bay. It's the pick that needed to happen. Jared Goff is going to have a legitimate, allegedly, right? He's a rookie. We can't say for certain what he'll be, but on paper should have a legitimate left tackle there to protect him.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm going with him, right? You addressed a huge position of need for your brand new hopeful franchise quarterback in Detroit. Detroit needed to go wide receiver, I think, too. They needed to make some more moves.
Yeah, but they
But Penny
picked up
Sewell
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
shores up a huge hole on that offense.
No, yeah, I think he will be a huge impact on that line.
Yeah. So that I'm going with him as my biggest impact right away. Mostly because a lot of the other big like prospects are wide receiver. There's 2 other wide receivers, 3 other receivers on the field at all times. Hard to have the immediate impact. Right?
Yeah,
Quarterbacks, we don't know who's going to start week 1 and who isn't.
Yeah.
So it's hard to pick one of them.
yeah.
Other than Trevor Lawrence, obviously he's going to start week 1. So it's hard to pick a quarterback. Running backs, it kind of all depends on how the coach likes to use them and how much like attention they get in the passing game.
But
So
I see my pick. I just picked him because if you're not going to address O line, clearly you're getting this guy because
yeah,
you're
no.
gonna use him.
I get
Yeah.
I get the reasoning for picking him. I'm just going that's my reasoning with Penny Sewell.
yeah, no, that's a good pick.
Is because he is a huge body, a physically talented lineman that's going to help with your
now
needs on the O line.
here's my question for you guys: who do you think is going to have the most successful career?
Are we talking the quarterbacks?
Now, out of anyone in this draft.
Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna narrow it down to quarterbacks for my answer
Okay, go
personally.
ahead. You can take.
I am gonna sound like a total homer here, but I'm going with Justin Fields.
Hey, I can't disagree with that.
I think he
like
inherited one of the best situations. Him or Trey Lance, him in Chicago. Oh man, I keep hiccuping. Sorry. Him in Chicago or whoever ended up in San Francisco, I thought were getting the most favorable situations. Very smart coach in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan's,
Yeah.
in my opinion, an offensive genius. He can build a scheme for whoever his quarterback is. They went through like 3 different quarterbacks last year and didn't miss a beat on offense.
That's true. I will go.
Very good at designing his system. So, Trey Lance is in a favorable position, but the Chicago Bears have plenty of talent around Justin Fields.
Yeah, dude.
So that's why I'm going to go with him. I think he's on the best built team that's not San Francisco out of where all these teams ended up.
Yeah.
And he's more of a sure thing, at least on paper, than Trey Lance is.
No, I can't disagree with you there at all. Nick, who you got?
I think for me, if the ball gets out of Joe Burrow's hands, Jamar Chase will have the most successful career out of anyone picked. Just for the simple fact is Joe Burrow already has become a big guy. Like he knows how to throw the ball. So Jamar Chase, if he'll actually be able to get the ball into his hands because Joe Burrow is not sacked on the ground, because I feel like they should have went offensive line, then I feel like Jamar Chase probably has the best career out of him because no one really knows what you're going to get from an unknown quarterback situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go Jamar Chase for now.
That's fair.
Yeah, I like that.
I thought Bobby was going to pick him for his biggest impact. I mean, Jamar Chase came out and said he's going to break every Cincinnati Bengals record. So,
dude, he feels very confident. And
I mean, you got to be confident when you're reuniting with Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow literally sent him a text before the draft even started and said, "Pack your bags."
Yeah, it was
Joe Burrow really wanted him. I'm telling you,
Joe Burrow's body might be mad about that pick, but Joe Burrow's heart is happy.
Yeah,
I think.
This is.
I think fantasy owners who pick Jamar Chase in the future will be very happy with those.
Like this is a big move. I wanted them to go Penny Sewell, but Jamar Chase is a very good pick as well.
Yeah,
you just got to hope your offensive line holds up well enough. Do they need to be elite? No, but they have to at least be average for you to make the most out of this pairing that you have. Not to mention, they have Tyler Boyd there still. I'm blanking on the other receiver, T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins. They just got drafted last year.
So they have those three guys. Tyler Boyd, I was very high on him last year, especially in fantasy. He helped my fantasy team so much up until the point when Joe Burrow went down.
After that.
But I think I was able to trade him to, I think, Matt. I don't remember who. I thought I traded him to someone when they shouldn't have taken the offer. But whatever.
Hey,
it is what it is. So Joe Burrow, the receiving core there, outside of, I don't know what they have at tight end. I'm going to be honest with you. Not a lot, but three good wide receivers. Jamar Chase, if you hope he develops into that franchise's next AJ Green.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I think he will definitely.
Yeah. And it's someone that now Joe Burrow knows how he plays, knows how he addresses, how he plays the position. Jamar Chase knows how Joe Burrow throws, what he likes to do, and what he's comfortable with.
I think
it's a great pairing. One of the good things about reuniting with a college teamate is that right there.
Yeah, and I mean, we had a lot of them this draft.
It happened to a lot of guys. Yeah. And for example of how you see it play out in years past, look at when Jay Cutler had Brandon Marshall come back to Chicago.
It was
instant chemistry, and that he had like 1,500 receiving yards year one.
Yeah.
So there's a huge comfort thing that comes with that. So that's a good pick. I can get behind that one.
Yeah. I went with my boy Kyle Pitts. I just think he's gonna.
Yeah, I know.
I think like
he's built different.
He's gonna be like a tight end that we haven't seen before. Like he'll be putting up receiving numbers.
Praise.
Like
that's high praise. The tight end position has been evolving more than any other position in the NFL. I think.
Yeah,
I feel like he'll be a tight end hybrid wide receiver that's going to be the best ever. But I feel like, regardless of who comes, you can't be better than Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates. Those guys, Kyle Pitts has to have an exceptional career to surpass those guys in my mind. And I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's going to have a very successful career.
Do you think he'll finish top 5 tight end of all time?
I feel like the tight end position has changed to where he'll be a tight end wide receiver hybrid that he's very good at.
It'll be tough to judge.
I feel like he has a chance to be a top 5 tight end, but there's just guys. Antonio Gates to me and Tony Gonzalez are pretty much untouchable in 1-2, unless something does absolutely transcend it.
Okay, but fantasy owners, just letting you know, pick him up.
He's the rookie to watch.
Yeah,
he's so fast. He's going to be such a
he's going to be a
headache
nightmare
to guard.
Yeah.
At whatever positions he plays. Even if Atlanta just rolls him out as a wide receiver and say, screw the tight end thing, he's still going to be almost impossible to
But if he's a tight end, draft him. That's
Yeah.
like 100% take
It'd
him.
be like when Taysom Hill was a tight end for the game where he played quarterback. That lost me a game. 30 points at tight end. Are you kidding me?
That was so funny.
That lost me a game in fantasy. I was so pissed about that. Whatever.
That's ESPN for you, man.
Yeah, whatever, ESPN. Get your crap together.
All right, one last thing. Biggest bust.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson.
And it's nothing against Zach Wilson.
It's the situation.
It's the Jets. I'm just not confident in the Jets. And I feel bad for the guy. I don't think he's going into a very good spot. But they different head coach, sure, but still same GM. It's just
I look at when you look
tough.
at a bust, it has to be in the first round, and it most likely either has to be a quarterback or a wide receiver who cannot catch the ball, a running back who fumbles a lot. An offensive lineman can't be a bust because you have no idea.
Yeah,
defensive lineman, a cornerback, I guess, could be a bust if he gets absolutely just burned consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at quarterbacks in this draft. Trevor Lawrence, you just expect not to be a bust. The other three guys probably aren't going to play week one. Zach Wilson probably is. So I feel like bust opportunity, absolute
it's
highest.
just he has the highest uphill climb for his career.
I do.
I'm not even going to say he's going to be the worst player in this draft, but the situation he's rolling into,
when you compare
he's going to be a bust for what they expect.
The eyes are always on the quarterbacks of every draft. And he, like I said, he's just got the highest uphill climb to succeed.
And he was taking
and I'm
number
rooting
2.
for him. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the guy succeed. I like Zach Wilson. It's just tough. Like the Jets have not been a good organization for a while now.
No, I agree with you there. But to me, it just looks like they're actually trying
On the right path.
They see where they went wrong.
It's
with Sam
certainly
Darnold.
different from the Sam Darnold situation.
Like they traded up, made sure to get the best
just,
guard.
It just still feels like the Jets are the out of all the teams these quarterbacks ended up on are the worst position to be in.
No, I mean I think it was a good answer.
Still, I don't know. I guess Elijah Vera Tucker could help a lot on the O-line.
Oh, yeah, I think
there's still a lot. There's just a lot going on, and we don't know what kind of coach Saleh is going to be. He was a very great defensive coordinator, but will it translate? What's his name? Mark LaFleur. Mark LaFleur. Will he be a good offensive coordinator? You never know. There's too many new things going on in New York of all places for me to feel confident in that. You can say Jacksonville has too many new things going on as well, but Trevor Lawrence is viewed as this generational guy who can succeed. Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck level kind of talent. Urban Meyer's no slouch as a head coach throughout his entire career.
Yeah.
And I thought they had better talent in general than the Jets. So
no, I agree. I do see
it's
that.
tough.
Yeah, it's a tough
battle.
Yeah.
Who's your bust, Bobby?
Who's my bust? Mac Jones.
I'm not sure I could put him in the bust category. And like, he was a first round quarterback, yeah, but I can't even view him in the category of these other QBs that were taken. I feel like the expectations are lowest for him.
Well, yeah, but
expectations are lowest, but he can still have the worst career.
Yeah, you're still taken in the first round.
Yeah, I guess.
If you don't amount to anything,
that's fair. That's a fair point. I knew you were going to say Mac Jones.
Yeah,
I just wanted to find a way to disagree with you.
Dude, he literally looked high.
He did look stoned. The draft, he looked stoned. It was pretty funny. Either way, it's tough, right? I understand the Mac Jones pick. That's probably the easiest bust pick to make.
Yeah,
just because least physically talented out of all of them.
Well, I think easiest bust pick to pick is Zach Wilson because he'll have the most pressure. Because Mac Jones might not even play a single snap of football this year. So it'd be easier to pick Zach Wilson, but it's just the lowest level of quarterback play is Mac Jones. So
yeah, and look at like Belichick drafting quarterbacks like Jared Stidham, garbage.
Outside of Brady, he really has not had
Jimmy
a knack
Garoppolo
for it.
really hasn't amounted to much.
The one Super Bowl run, which is proving to be more of an anomaly than anything.
Yeah, it just seems like he doesn't have this eye for
yeah.
scouting. It just seems like it was dumb luck that he even got Brady. You know
what I mean? It was 6th round. It is a level of dumb luck there. When you take a guy in the 6th round, he was in the 6th round because no one else viewed him that highly, and you were the guy who decided to go for it. You can't go, oh yeah, when I took him in the 6th round, I knew he was going to be the greatest of all time.
I feel like
you're not going to convince me with that one, Bill. Not for a second.
Yeah,
I think sir.
A lot of Belichick is I think he just got lucky. Because, dude, now.
You better be careful who listens.
I don't know. I think you can't say that he's lucky. He's still a great coach.
I mean, he's a great coach,
I
but
think
I'm
he got
saying
very
drafting-wise.
He got very lucky with Brady being in the 6th round. He still made other picks and other trades.
He's made other good moves, but Brady is the defining move for the franchise with the Belichick era.
But the Patriots were good with Bledsoe before Brady came, and that was Belichick being coach.
Yeah,
I don't say he gets lucky with Brady. Everything else, Brady did not. Brady's a great quarterback, but there was years that Brady got absolutely carried by the defense and Belichick's coaching.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit. He's a great coach. I just think drafting wise,
There's
Drafting-wise, he's
there's
not
always
great.
some
I
there's
don't think
always
he's
some
that-
And
degree
quarterback
of
talent,
luck
he's not
involved.
great at. I feel like people regard him higher because they're like, hey, you took Brady, so what would you
Yeah.
pick here? And they're like, oh, I'll pick this guy. And Belichick really doesn't know.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. As a coach, I think Belichick is one of the greatest. I'll give him credit. But I'm just saying, drafting wise, I don't think he's that good.
No, not
That's fair.
solid.
Okay, so clearly we're not going to have time to go with this NBA MLB stuff, but I had a quick idea. Why don't we all say one thought of ours about the MLB that no context, just let the people try and figure out what we mean by that. I will go first. Tony La Russa is out of touch with today's MLB, should not be a manager.
Mine is people who think universal DH should be a thing are dumb and don't like baseball.
Okay. I bet it's something about Chris Bryant for Bobby.
Chris Bryant is a beast, man. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Fair enough. I figured we'd at least throw at least one MLB thing in there.
My question this week could possibly be any sport.
Fair
because
enough.
it's a
Maybe we get some.
My question of the week is whatever team, doesn't have to be your favorite team, doesn't have to be a Chicago team. If you can go back and redo a trade, reverse it, or a signing where they just couldn't take him because of cap space, no cap space penalty. So, the Sox want to keep Aaron Rowan, they can.
You bring up
Or-
Aaron Rowan all the time.
I loved Aaron Rowan on the team. But like there's like,
it's one of those. He's not a name you think of.
Yeah,
I appreciate that you know him because I was actually a big Rowan fan back when he was on the White Sox.
I was
but
a
it's
big
like-
center field shortstop when I was playing Little League and stuff.
Mhm.
And Aaron Rowan ran into a fence and like broke his nose. I
Oh,
did the
yeah.
same thing like the same week.
You were like, that's my favorite player.
And I was just like, I like
I'm number 33 always.
Yeah.
So I just like Aaron Rowan's name comes to my mind because that's like one of the guys I think of when I think of 2005, just hard
Fair enough.
White
That-
Sox baseball.
it's just
But if
Defense,
you can
so-
reverse any trade where you're like, that's my favorite player on that team, I wish he would have finished that team. Mine is, I wish the Mariners never parted ways with Ichiro. I wish that Ichiro would have played his entire career as a Mariner
okay.
and retired a Mariner. So if I could go back when they let him go when he went to Miami for a couple of years,
Okay.
I wish that would be reversed.
Mhm, mhm.
So it could be a trade, a free agent signing, a free agent let go, a cut. Hey, I don't know. Bobby really likes Charles Leno. Maybe he wants to reverse that
Okay.
one.
I don't like Charles Leno. All right, don't say that.
Hey, Charles Leno was a 7th round pick.
Yeah, I mean,
Respect what he was
I'll
able
give
to
him his
contribute.
credit, but I mean, he's not like
No,
great.
he's not great, but he was a tremendous value for a 7th
Yeah,
round.
yeah. Okay, I'll give him that.
He was not the biggest issue on the O-line for a while. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anyways,
all right.
okay, I already have mine. I don't know if Bobby needs some time.
You
to
go ahead. You can take it.
I've tried and tried to cope with this decision by the White Sox. And I'm like, oh, we still have all kinds of talent. I can live with it. But the Fernando Tatis Jr. trade to the Padres for James Shields. I love Tim Anderson. And, I like Tim Anderson as a player. He's a very good offensive shortstop. But, oh, boy, does it
But
suck
Tim
now.
Anderson could play second base.
I know. But I like Nick Matt. See, the thing is, it's not even like shortstop is a hole on that lineup, right?
No, it's just
It's just he's not. Tatis Jr. is showing all the signs to be a complete stud for years to come.
Yeah.
And it sucks to think that at like 17 years old, 18 years old is when the Whites, 17, I think it was, they
Yeah.
traded him because they wanted James Shields to try and make a.
And James Shields garbage.
Yeah, well, the trade happened when the White Sox were like 21-4. And they're like, holy crap, we're in play for the playoffs. And we're only 25 games into a 162 game season.
Yeah,
And they made the move for someone who 8 innings, and you gave up Tatis Jr. before you can even see what he was.
before he could even drive or not drive, vote.
Before he
That's
can
what I
even,
was gonna say.
it was
I
a,
like,
tou-
wait, drive
it's a
60.
tough
I
one to
was like,
live
what?
with now. It is a tough one to live with now. So I would
Okay.
take that one
Because
back.
I feel like some Sox fans would say Chris Sale before they realized that they got Yoan Moncada from that. So it's like, maybe.
And Kopech.
And Kopech.
Yeah.
True. I'm just gonna be straight up. Jason Hayward, dude. I wish the Cubs never signed him that big of a contract.
So
Oh,
you would
okay.
you wouldn't have made the contract.
Yeah, I would
as
not
long.
make because dude, you could have paid someone who was. Don't get me wrong. Jason Hayward is a great fielder.
His bat's not there.
His bat was not
People
there.
hate him for his bat when he batted like 115.
Yeah, dude. Like it's like he had that one good season, and then
And that was their World Series season.
that's when they signed him. They signed him before the World Series, and then when they signed him to the Cubs, it was like, man.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he had his
a
breakout
good
season,
defensive player,
yeah.
but his bat's not good.
Yeah, he's not worth all the money that they're paying him.
But that happens every team when they go for their championship. They get their big guy, their
And
big
that
name.
happens a lot with the Cubs. They'll sign a guy who's just an absolute stud for another team, and then he gets on the Cubs, and they're like, you know what? I really don't like Wrigley Field. It's stupid.
Yeah, and then he just
Wrigley Field's
struggles.
great.
I love Wrigley Field. I'm just
I
saying,
don't like.
for
Wrigley
some
Field,
reason,
and
players-
it's not because I'm a White Sox fan. I'm just not the biggest fan of it.
players just moved to Chicago on the Cubs side, and they're just like, you know what? I had a good 5 years. I'm just going to suck for 2. And then they
Yeah.
trade him, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know what? I'm going to be the greatest player ever again.
Except for my boy Arrieta. It's only good with the Cubs. Hey, get back soon. He's on the IL.
Always
Shut
Arrieta
up.
talk. Every time we talk about
Always
baseball,
Arrieta,
Arrieta's
all the
gotta
time.
come up.
Who's gonna be the Cy Young? Yeah, no, Tatis. That one stings.
Yeah,
now,
that's
but
a stinger.
it is what it is. You know,
It is nice though that like they still have a decent shortstop.
right? That's the thing. Tim Anderson doesn't suck, and like
Yeah.
I'm happy with Tim Anderson at shortstop.
But you don't got the.
But it's not.
you
It's
don't
not the
got
other guy.
cover athlete.
And who
on
knows
MLB
how
The
much
Show.
different? Who knows how much differently you could build this whole team if he was still there, right? But you know, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, right, Nick?
Yeah, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
We'd all have a Merry Christmas. But it, you know, it is what it is. But that'll do it for us, guys. Thank you for tuning in this week and giving us a listen. If you liked what you heard, you want to hear more or anything, by all means, follow us on Facebook, GTS or Garage Talk Sports. Follow us on Instagram at GTS Podcast 1. Gmail, still waiting on that one email to come through. GTS Podcast 1 at gmail.com. Don't be shy, guys. Please reach out to us, interact with us. We
And
appreciate it.
We do have a YouTube. We should be getting up soon. We're
Yeah, we
working on
will be
it.
having a YouTube posted
We are
soon.
Garage Talk Sports. So if you want to go on, subscribe. That would be great.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, until next week, thanks for tuning in and have a good one.
All right, see you guys.